I'm Maya, and I'm 32 years old. My grandmother just passed away and left me her beach house in her will. But my family is demanding I sign it over to my brother Derek because he needs it more than I do. Those words felt like a knife to my chest, standing in the lawyer's office with my entire family staring at me like I'd already agreed. Let me rewind. 2 weeks earlier, I got the call that changed everything. Grandma Rose had died peacefully in her sleep at 89. She was the only person in my family who truly saw me, who understood me, who valued me for more than what I could offer. In her will, she left me her oceanfront cottage in Maine, the place where I'd spent every childhood summer, where she'd taught me to paint and told me stories and made me feel like I mattered. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt like the family scapegoat. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next. Now, you might wonder how a family gets this entitled. Well, let me take you back. When I was 23, my mother got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. The medical bills piled up fast, faster than Dad's teaching salary could cover. Mom couldn't work anymore. Her hands too swollen and painful for the administrative job she'd held for 15 years. Someone had to help. That someone became me. I just graduated with my nursing degree and started working at County General. The hours were brutal. The pay wasn't amazing, but it was steady. Within 3 months of Mom's diagnosis, I was covering her medication costs, helping with their mortgage. Paying for the physical therapy insurance wouldn't cover. Meanwhile, my younger brother Derek was finishing his master's degree in environmental science, a degree I helped fund. While I was pulling double shifts and eating ramen for dinner, Derek was attending conferences in Seattle and Denver, networking with professors, building his resume. I paid for his textbooks, his research materials, even his professional wardrobe. "You're so good at managing everything," Mom would say, whenever I mentioned feeling overwhelmed. Derek's more of a creative type. He needs support to flourish. Flourish. That word haunted me. Apparently I didn't need to flourish. I just needed to work, but I told myself it was temporary. Once Derek graduated and got his dream job with an environmental nonprofit, once Mom's treatment stabilized, once things leveled out, we'd be a team. We'd share the load. God, I was naive. Because when Derek did graduate, he didn't see our parents as a shared responsibility. He saw them as my problem. His first paycheck went to a weekend camping trip with his college buddies. His second funded new hiking gear. His third paid for a certification course that would advance his career. When I gently suggested he might contribute to Mom's medical expenses, he looked at me like I'd suggested something obscene. "Maya, I'm barely making $35,000 a year. You know nonprofits don't pay well. Besides, you're established now. You can handle it. Established." That's what they called someone living in a studio apartment at 28, working 60-hour weeks, with exactly $1,200 in savings. Established meant I'd sacrificed so much for so long that they couldn't imagine I might want something different. The worst part wasn't even the money. It was Thanksgiving dinners where Derek talked about his meaningful work while I was just Maya the nurse. It was Christmas mornings where his thoughtful gifts were praised while mine were expected. It was family photos where he stood in the center, the golden child, while I was always on the edge, the reliable one, the practical one, the one nobody really saw. But Grandma Rose saw me. Every Sunday I'd drive 2 hours to visit her at the cottage. We'd paint together on her sun porch, eat fresh lobster rolls, walk along the rocky beach collecting sea glass. She never asked me for money or favors. She just wanted my company. "You give too much of yourself away," she told me one afternoon while we were painting the sunset. "One day you'll wake up and realize there's nothing left for you." I laughed it off then, but her words stuck with me. When she died, I felt like I'd lost the only person who understood that I was more than just a support system for everyone else's dreams. The will reading was 2 weeks after the funeral. The lawyer's office smelled like old books and furniture polish. My parents sat on one side of the mahogany conference table, Derek on the other. I sat alone at the end, already feeling like an outsider in my own family. The lawyer, Mr. Patterson, cleared his throat and began reading. Most of Grandma's assets were split evenly between her 2 children, my father and my aunt. But then came the part that changed everything. To my granddaughter Maya, who sees the world in colors and loves with her whole heart, I leave my cottage at 47 Seaside Road, along with all its contents and furnishings. May it be a place where she finally puts herself first. I felt tears streaming down my face before I could stop them. Grandma had given me the one place in the world where I felt completely myself. The one place that held all my happiest memories. My father shifted uncomfortably. Mom dabbed her eyes with a tissue, but I couldn't tell if it was grief or something else. Derek's jaw tightened noticeably. "That cottage is worth at least $800,000, he said to no one in particular. "Oceanfront property in Maine isn't cheap. The lawyer ignored him and continued reading, but I barely heard the rest. All I could think about was sitting on Grandma's porch again, painting the sunrise, finally having a place that was truly mine. The intervention came 3 days later. Mom called and asked me to come to Sunday dinner, nothing unusual. But when I arrived, I found my parents, Derek, and even my Aunt Patricia all sitting in the living room with serious expressions. "Maya, sweetheart, we need to talk about the cottage," Mom began, using her gentle voice, the one she used when she wanted something. "What about it?" I asked, already feeling defensive. "Well, Derek's been struggling financially," Dad jumped in. "His nonprofit just went through budget cuts and he's down to part-time hours." I looked at Derek, who had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. "I'm really in a tough spot, Maya. And we thought," Mom continued, "since you have your nursing job and you're so stable, that maybe you could let Derek have the cottage. He could sell it and use the money to get back on his feet. Maybe even start his own environmental consulting business." The room started spinning. "You want me to give Derek my inheritance?" "Not give exactly," Aunt Patricia interjected. "Think of it as investing in family. Derek has so much potential. This could be the opportunity that changes his life." "What about changing my life?" The words came out sharper than I intended. "Maya, you're already established," Derek said, using that word again like a weapon. "You have a career, an apartment, savings. I'm starting from zero. Starting from zero." He was starting from zero because I'd spent the last 9 years propping everyone else up while my own foundation crumbled. "The cottage was Grandma's gift to me," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "She wanted me to have it." "Your grandmother was 89 years old," Aunt Patricia said dismissively. "She probably didn't fully understand the financial implications of giving away such valuable property." The insult to Grandma Rose's memory made my blood boil. She'd been sharp as a tack until the day she died, and she knew exactly what she was doing. "Mom loved Maya," my father said quietly, "but she also would have wanted what's best for the whole family. Derek needs this more than you do." There it was. "Derek needs this more than you do." As if my needs didn't exist. As if 9 years of sacrifice had earned me nothing but the expectation of more sacrifice. "I'm keeping the cottage," I said, standing up. "It was Grandma's gift to me and I'm keeping it." "Maya, don't be selfish," Mom said, and that word hit me like a slap. Selfish. After everything I'd done, everything I'd given, wanting to keep one thing for myself made me selfish. "I think you should leave," Derek said coldly. "Come back when you're ready to think about someone other than yourself." I grabbed my purse and walked out, their voices following me down the driveway, telling me I was ungrateful, that I was tearing the family apart, that Grandma would be disappointed in me. But I knew the truth. Grandma Rose had given me that cottage specifically because she knew my family would try to take it. She'd given me something they couldn't guilt me out of, something legally and entirely mine. Have you ever been called selfish for finally putting yourself first? Drop a comment below and let me know, because what happened next will blow your mind. The harassment started immediately. Text messages, voicemails, emails. Derek sent me articles about sibling generosity. Mom sent me Bible verses about helping family. Dad sent me calculations of how much the cottage sale could change Derek's life. But nobody sent me anything acknowledging what I'd given up for them over the years. Nobody calculated how much I'd sacrificed. My breaking point came when Derek showed up at my apartment unannounced. "Maya, please," he said when I opened the door. "I'm going to lose my apartment. I'm behind on rent. If I don't get some money soon, I'll be homeless." "Get a second job," I said flatly. "That's what I did when I was supporting all of you. It's not that simple." "It never is for you, is it?" But it was always that simple for me. Derek's expression hardened. "You know what? Fine, keep your precious cottage. But don't come crying to us when you end up alone because you chose a house over your family." That threat, which once would have sent me into a panic of apologetic backpedaling, bounced right off me. If my family only wants me around when I'm useful, then maybe being alone isn't such a bad thing. I closed the door in his face. 2 months later, I did something I'd never done before. I took a vacation. I drove to Maine to my cottage and I stayed there for 2 full weeks. I painted every day. I walked the beach every evening. I read books cover to cover. I cooked elaborate meals for one. I existed without anyone needing anything from me. It was the most peaceful 2 weeks of my adult life. On my last evening there, I sat on the porch watching the sunset and thinking about Grandma Rose. She'd known exactly what she was doing. She'd given me permission to choose myself. When I returned home, I found a letter in my mailbox. My father's handwriting. Inside was a single page. "Maya, I've been doing some thinking since you left that Sunday dinner. Your mother and I got comfortable with you solving our problems. We stopped seeing you as our daughter and started seeing you as our safety net. I'm sorry. You deserved better from us. The cottage is yours and it should stay yours. Love, Dad. I cried reading that letter. Not tears of sadness, but of validation. One person finally saw what I'd been trying to say all along. That was 18 months ago. Today, my relationship with my family is complicated but honest. Dad and I talk regularly. Real conversations where he asks about my life instead of my ability to fix his. Mom is slower to come around, but she's trying. Derek and I barely speak, but I've accepted that some relationships aren't worth salvaging. The cottage remains mine. I've turned Grandma's art studio into my own creative space. I'm taking painting classes and discovering talents I didn't know I had because I was too busy surviving to explore them. I even met someone, James, a marine biologist doing research along the coast. He asked me on a date after seeing me painting on the beach one morning. When I told him my family story, he didn't tell me I should have given them the cottage. He told me he admired my strength. My inheritance wasn't just a beach house. It was permission to believe I deserved something beautiful. It was Grandma Rose's final gift, teaching me that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose between family expectations and your own worth, make sure to like and subscribe. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop letting others define your value. Remember, you can't control how your family treats you, but you can always control what treatment you're willing to accept. And sometimes, the people who call you selfish are really just upset that you're no longer convenient.